Hi, Capricorn and Capricorn Rising. Here's your horoscope for December 2024. I'm Astrologer Joseph Anthony. All right, here we are in the final month of 2024. And, it's been one hell of a ride. And we're going to end the year on a slow note and going within. And I know nobody wants to hear that, but this is what the astrology is indicating. So this reading's for anyone who has a sun sign in Capricorn or has a rising sign in Capricorn. This is using the Western astrology tropical whole house system using the sun sign. And so this is a very general overview because your birth chart and your birthdays are going to be completely different. So this is going to be very general. Anyway, let's start off with what I see here. Now, fortunately, Venus is in your first house. Starting off the month of December. It actually entered your sign last month. And it's in the first house, so wanting to look good, feel good, wanting attention. This is absolutely in line with what's going on here. But Venus is going to be leaving Capricorn and then running right into Pluto here in the second house. And so that's going to be a little tricky. And relationships, financial matters, and the past seem to resurface this month. Not only because we have Mercury retrograde, but we also have Mars that's slowing down to go retrograde as well. So we have these two that are going to be retrograde for the first at least 2 weeks of December, dragging us back into the past once again, down memory lane and everything else. But this month is a little tricky, no doubt about it. And it has to do with, we also have 2 new moons this month. So as you can see here, 2 retrograde planets, major retrograde planets, and then 2 new moons highlighting this energy in a weird sort of way. So what we've got, the second new moon is actually going to be in your sign. So it's giving you an opportunity to start the new year and reinvent yourself completely. So as we start off the month, the new moon in Sagittarius on the very first day of December is right here in the 12th house. And this house represents limitations. It represents spirituality. It represents the deep past. And it's going to be at 9 degrees of Sagittarius. Wherever that is in your actual birth chart, that's the area you want to look at. But it will be making an aspect to your Saturn. Saturn is your ruler. And Saturn is now moving forward, which is going to help you a great deal in the months to come. But since this new moon is highlighting or connecting to Saturn in the 3rd house of communication, your mind may be running rampant. Ideas, a bit of confusion. You're all excited about something, but you may be having a tough time getting it into motion and trying to figure it out. So this is the kind of energy we have as we begin the month. And don't forget, Mercury is retrograde, which means going within, stuff from the past. So this is all being highlighted just as we start off the month of December. So I would suggest this new moon more of a spiritual practice. Yoga, going for walks, enjoying yourself in simple settings, just appreciating everything. Because that's the benefit of this 12th house, is it gives us a chance to kind of reset our spirit. And that 12th house represents spiritual matters. So use this new moon to that advantage as opposed to overwhelming yourself with too many thoughts and ideas that may not pan out. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, Mars goes retrograde on the 6th. Here it is, right here at stationary position before it goes backwards. And so here is where it gets a little tricky because Mars in the 8th house usually is pretty driven and strong, and it's in Leo and determined, and you become like this investigator and you're focusing on your finances, you're focusing on maybe thinking about sexuality, you're thinking about shared resources, But now that it's slowing down to go retrograde, and it'll be retrograde all the way until the end of February, is that it'll start off in the 8th house. And all these issues from the past will resurface. And by the way, this is the 8th house of psychological well-being. So once again, be careful not to overwhelm yourself with too many, thoughts and ideas that it may not pan out. And so it'll retrograde. And then on January the 5th and 6th, it will retrograde back into Cancer into the 7th house. So this is where people from the past start showing up in your life. Or you're thinking about them, or they're thinking about you. But Mars retrograde has a lot to do with our motivation. And when Mars is retrograde, we tend to slow down or we go within. We don't have the same drive and determination as we do when it's in direct mode. So we have that alignment going on. But wait, there's more. On the 7th, Venus enters Aquarius right there, runs right into Pluto, powerful Pluto. So there's some sort of major transformation taking place having to do with a partnership, something to do with money matters, investments. All of that stuff is on the table, and there may be some surprises in the mix. But the reason this is so important is because once Venus passes here, it's going to be making an alignment to Mars right up in here. And so anytime we have Venus and Mars in an opposition, this is a lot of tension building up. Once again, possibly having to do with a relationship, possibly having to do with financial matters, and so there's tension here that's building. Remember, this is retrograde, Mercury's retrograde, and your ruler, Saturn, is in this 3rd house and getting a little bit frustrated. And so you need to pay attention to what you're doing right now. Okay, and so this is really the first 2 weeks, really the first 2.5 weeks of the month is really weird energy. I would advise not making any major life-changing decisions if you could avoid it, because Venus is going to go through the 2nd house and is going to be thinking outside the box and is going to feel restless and wants change. So this is what Venus is going to bring here into the 2nd house. Now, if it has nothing to do with that, you may be more focused on your income. You may be more focused on your investments, making more money, because Venus in the 2nd house can be beneficial for financial matters. But because it's hitting Pluto and then opposing Mars, you could become a little bit obsessed about financial matters. So be careful of that as we go into this month, because it is a very wild ride. Now, Neptune goes direct in Pisces also later on the 7th. Not a big deal. Here it is right here in stationary position. And again, this will just add more fuel to the imagination. So as this moves direct, you're feeling much more inspired and you have all these ideas, and maybe you're looking to beautify your home or change something about, the way you do things. And so this is going to help you or help fuel the fire of change. All right, so this is going to be very important as well. Now, the full moon in Gemini on the 14th into the 15th is going to be another volatile one. Now, I'm not trying to be negative here, but look at this. It'll be at 23 degrees of Gemini, so it'll be right here opposing the sun at 23 degrees, and we'll be squaring Neptune at 27 degrees. So we have a giant T-square developing right here, and this has a lot to do with your communication, your home life, children, health, well-being, daily routine, all of that. It'll be activated between this axis point and this part of the chart. So there's a lot of volatility, again, the first 15 days of the month, where there's either a lot of uncertainty or irritation or a need to just want to change things up. So this is why I'm saying it can be a little tricky this month. So once again, center yourself. It's like you're reinventing yourself, especially the 2nd half of the month, because that new moon is going to activate that 1st house, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. Now, Mercury goes direct, fortunately, on the 15th, later on in the afternoon. So right there, but it's still in Sagittarius, and we'll take a couple of days for it to start moving forward again. And so once Mercury starts moving forward, you might get a little bit more clarity going, okay? So just don't rush anything right now. I mean, you'll see the future, you're anticipating things to change, but Mercury going direct, give it a few days for it to clear things up, clear the issues up, make better decisions, listen to your intuition. No need to act on them, just pay attention to what it's trying to tell you. Now remember, this is when the opposition between Venus and Mars is also taking place, between the 7th and the 15th. So there's a lot of tension in the air, so be very mindful of all that, okay? Now, the sun enters Capricorn. Now everything changes, because now the sun is in a high position in your chart in the 1st house of identity and self and motivation. And now you want to take advantage of the energy. Now the energy is shifting. Now I would suggest reinventing yourself physically, emotionally, psychologically, because the sun in the 1st house is definitely an opportunity to change yourself in some way or be seen in a different way. So why not take advantage of that? Okay, now what makes this one so interesting is that we have this second new moon, and this was going to be on the 30th, and this is going to be considered a black moon. Normally it's a blue moon, but this is a black moon because the sun is low on the horizon, so it won't be seen. The new moon won't be able to be seen. This is why we call it a black moon. And it'll be at 9 degrees of Capricorn, once again, at 9 degrees. Last month it was 9 degrees. I mean, the first new moon was 9 degrees of Sag. Now this is 9 degrees of Capricorn. And so this is really saying to you, reinvent yourself. Time to change. Time to go in a new direction. Time for a new me. So you'll start off 2025 with this new sense of self. And you'll be implementing all that throughout the first couple of months of the 2025. And I'll cover that in the 2025 video. But this is giving you a chance to really look at yourself and say, okay, I need to let go of the old stuff, the old me. All right, what do I need to change? Where do I need to go? And next year is very important because your ruler is going to come out of this third house and go into your fourth house and into Aries, which is going to be significant for many of you. Many of you may be moving, buying real estate. Something about the home life and the family life will dramatically change in 2025. So keep that in mind, okay, as your ruler and Neptune both leave and go into the fourth house. So significant changes are on the horizon, okay? Anyway, if you like this video, consider joining my inner circle where I will be doing extended monthly horoscopes. As you can see here, I already do the weekly astrology there. We do weekly Zoom calls, and I just introduced remote viewing sessions, so we all get a target and then we try and remote view it on a weekly and a bi-weekly basis. And of course, I teach astrology there, and you get to interact with me and ask questions and so on about anything. All right, so I left the link down below. Have a great month and do the best you can, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.